First Contact's fatal mistake. The crystalline spires of the Carix Empire's High Council chamber sparkled with artificial starlight as Supreme Overseer Vaxteth reviewed the latest reports from their observation posts near the Sol system. His iridescent scales rippled with what his species considered amusement as he studied the primitive civilization they'd been monitoring for the past 3 decades. Such fascinating creatures, he mused, multiple eyes blinking in sequence as he addressed the council. They wage war over imaginary boundaries, weep over the death of animals they keep as pets, and celebrate victories with explosive displays in their atmosphere. Most peculiar. First Analyst Miralyn, her translucent form shifting through shades of blue and green, projected the latest behavioral models onto the chamber's central display. Supreme Overseer, our studies indicate their emotional patterns are highly unstable. They experience feelings at intensities that exceed our measurable scales. This makes them unpredictable and potentially dangerous. The council chamber filled with the soft chiming sounds of concerned communication. The Carix had ruled their portion of the galaxy for 10,000 years through careful calculation and logical progression. Emotion was seen as a primitive evolutionary trait, one they'd engineered out of their species eons ago. What is your recommendation, First Analyst? Vaxteth's voice resonated through the chamber's perfect acoustics. Quarantine. Miralyn responded without hesitation. We establish a containment field around their solar system. For their own protection, of course, and that of the greater galactic community. They are clearly not ready for integration into civilized space. The Supreme Overseer's scales shifted to a deep purple of satisfaction. This was the Carix way. Careful, controlled, and above all, logical. Proceed with the quarantine. Use the Ninth Fleet. Their technology is primitive enough that they won't even detect our presence. How wrong they were. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the hidden command center beneath the Mariana Trench, watching as the quantum sensors she'd helped develop tracked the approaching alien fleet. Around her, the combined efforts of humanity's secret space defense program hummed with activity. For 50 years, they'd known they weren't alone. For 50 years, they'd prepared in secret. They're moving into standard containment formation, her colleague, Dr. James Martinez, reported. Exactly as our deep space probes predicted they would. The Carix are nothing if not consistent. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. The aliens' greatest weakness was their absolute certainty in their own superiority. They'd never thought to look for the quantum observation satellites humanity had scattered throughout the solar system. They hadn't noticed the gravitational sensors that had been tracking their ship's movements for years. And they certainly hadn't detected the network of defensive platforms hidden in the Kuiper Belt. All stations, this is Control, she spoke into the global secure channel. Operation Dark Horse is now active. I repeat, Dark Horse is active. Across Earth, hidden facilities sprang to life. In the depths of oceans, beneath desert sands, and inside hollow mountains, humanity's real technology began to power up. Not the primitive rockets and satellites they'd allowed the aliens to see, but the fruits of 50 years of reverse engineering crashed alien vessels and developing their own innovations. The Carix Ninth Fleet moved into position with mathematical precision, their ships forming a perfect geometric pattern around the solar system. Inside his command vessel, Fleet Commander Zexful prepared to activate the containment field that would isolate Earth from the rest of the galaxy. Field generators at full power, his technical officer reported. Awaiting your command. Zexful's scales rippled with pride. Another primitive species safely contained, another potential threat to galactic stability neutralized. He opened his mouth to give the order. The first human strike hit them before he could speak. Quantum torpedoes, fired from platforms the Carix sensors had dismissed as simple chunks of ice, tore through their formation. The weapons didn't try to penetrate their shields. They simply bent space around them, causing localized gravitational singularities that crushed ships like empty beverage containers. Impossible. Zexful's scales flashed crimson with alarm. Their technology is centuries behind this level of advancement. On Earth, Sarah watched the chaos unfold with grim satisfaction. "Launch the second wave," she ordered. "Let's show them exactly how primitive we are." The hidden facilities across Earth launched their real spacecraft. Sleek vessels powered by zero-point energy, their hulls composed of metamaterials that bent light and other forms of radiation around them. To the Carrick sensors, they simply didn't exist until they opened fire. "Message from the surface," Martins reported, a hint of satisfaction in his voice. "The President is ready to transmit." Sarah nodded. "Put her through to all Carrick's frequencies." President Helena Rodriguez's voice echoed through every surviving Carrick's vessel. "This is humanity's first and only warning. We've watched you watching us. We've studied you studying us. You thought our emotions made us weak. They make us strong. You thought we were primitive. We simply didn't show you everything. You came to contain us, but we will not be contained. You have 1 hour to retreat beyond the Kuiper Belt. After that, we will demonstrate just how uncivilized we can be." In the council chamber, now filled with the discordant chiming of panic, Supreme Overseer Vaxteth watched the tactical displays with disbelief. Half the Ninth Fleet was destroyed or disabled. The humans had weapons his scientists claimed were theoretical impossibilities. And worst of all, they had done something no species had done in 10,000 years. They had surprised the Carricks. Supreme Overseer, First Analyst Miralan's voice trembled slightly. "I believe we may have made a miscalculation." Vaxteth's scales had turned the pale gray of defeat. "No, First Analyst. We made a mistake. We assumed that emotion meant weakness. We forgot that emotion can also mean strength, and now we must deal with the consequences." As the surviving Carrick ships fled the solar system, humanity prepared for what they knew would come next. The Empire wouldn't take this humiliation lightly. But that was exactly what Earth's defenders had counted on. Sometimes, the best way to win a war was to make your enemy start it exactly when and where you wanted them to. Sarah Chen looked at the strategic display showing the retreating Carrick's vessels and felt a complex mix of emotions: satisfaction, anticipation, and a touch of pity for an empire that had just awoken a sleeping giant. "Send word to all our deep space bases," she ordered. "Tell them Phase 2 begins now. The galaxy's about to learn that humanity isn't just ready for civilized space. We're ready to redefine what that means." The awakening of Terra. The Carrick's High Council's emergency session stretched into its third rotation. The chamber's usual pristine order had given way to chaos as reports continued streaming in from across their territory. Supreme Overseer Vaxteth's scales had remained a steady gray of distress for so long that his medical monitors were beginning to signal warnings. 17 outposts. First Minister of Defense Kraltex announced, his voice carrying the unfamiliar tremor of fear. All gone dark within the same temporal unit. No distress signals. No signs of battle. They simply ceased to exist. The humans had not waited for the Carricks to regroup. Within days of the failed quarantine attempt, Earth's hidden fleets had struck with surgical precision. But it wasn't just their military prowess that terrified the Empire. It was their incomprehensible strategy. Deep in the Oort cloud, Admiral Sarah Chen watched the tactical display aboard the ESS Prometheus. The massive vessel, Earth's first true capital ship, represented decades of combined human innovation. Its quantum core-powered systems that the Carricks had deemed theoretically impossible, while its adaptive AI merged seamlessly with the human crew's intuition and creativity. "Status of Operation Lighthouse?" she asked, eyes fixed on the holographic representation of Carrick space. Lieutenant Commander Raj Patel smiled as he pulled up the relevant data. "All quantum beacons are in position and operational, Admiral. The Carricks still haven't detected them. Their reliance on traditional scanning methods is proving to be quite the advantage." The beacons were perhaps humanity's greatest achievement. Devices that could instantly transmit matter and energy across vast distances, completely bypassing the need for traditional FTL travel. The The Carricks, for all their advanced technology, had never conceived of such a possibility because it didn't follow their logical progression of scientific development. Commence Phase 3, Chen ordered. Let's show them what happens when you combine human imagination with advanced technology. Across Carrick space, the quantum beacons activated simultaneously. In an instant, thousands of human vessels materialized within the heart of Empire territory. But they weren't warships. They were civilian vessels, carrying scientists, diplomats, and traders. Each appeared near a major Carrick's world, broadcasting a simple message in perfect Carrick's language. We come seeking dialogue. Your empire attempted to cage us. Instead, we offer you a chance to evolve. In the High Council chamber, the message played on repeat as the councilors struggled to comprehend this unprecedented situation. The humans had the military advantage. Their technology clearly surpassed Carrick's capabilities in several crucial areas. Yet instead of pressing their advantage, they were offering conversation. First analyst Miralyn, her form shifting through confused patterns of color, finally spoke. They're acting against all strategic logic. Our models show a 94% probability that an emerging species, upon achieving military superiority, would attempt immediate territorial expansion. That's because your models don't account for something we learned long ago. A new voice echoed through the chamber. The councilors turned to find a human woman standing among them, a physical impossibility given the chamber's security measures. Dr. Elena Santos, Earth's leading xenoanthropologist, smiled at their confusion. Her holographic presence, transmitted through the quantum network, was indistinguishable from physical reality. True strength isn't about domination. It's about growth, both yours and ours. Supreme Overseer Vaxteth's scales shifted rapidly through various colors of distress. How are you here? This chamber is protected by technologies we understood and surpassed decades ago, Elena interrupted gently. Just as we understood that your attempt to quarantine Earth wasn't born of malice, but of fear of what you don't understand. Emotion, intuition, the beautiful irrationality that makes us human. She gestured, and the chamber filled with holographic displays showing human history, not just their wars and conflicts, but their art, their music, their literature. You engineered emotion out of your species because you saw it as a weakness. We embraced our emotions, learned to channel them, to let them fuel our creativity and drive our innovation. The quantum beacons across Carrick space began transmitting similar displays to every world in the Empire. Humans sharing their culture, their knowledge, their understanding of the universe that went beyond pure logic and mathematical precision. Your empire stands at a crossroads, Elena continued. You can try to fight us, to maintain your rigid adherence to pure logic. Or you can learn from us, as we're willing to learn from you. Imagine combining your order and precision with our creativity and intuition. In orbit around the Carrick's homeworld, Admiral Chen watched the proceedings through the quantum network. Status of Carrick's military response. That's the interesting part, Admiral, Paddle reported. Their fleet movements have stopped entirely. They're watching the transmissions, all of them. We're detecting unprecedented levels of neural activity across their population centers. Chen allowed herself a small smile. This was what Earth's leadership had hoped for, not just a military victory, but a cultural awakening. The Carricks had built an empire on the suppression of emotion and imagination. Humanity wasn't offering them defeat, but renaissance. Supreme Overseer Vaxteth stood in the council chamber, his scales slowly shifting to a color none of his species had displayed in millennia, the deep gold of wonder. You could have destroyed us, he said to Elena's hologram. We could have, she agreed. But destruction is easy. Creation, true creation, born of cooperation between different ways of thinking. That's the real challenge. That's what makes us human. The council chamber erupted in a symphony of chiming as the councilors began to experience something they hadn't felt in thousands of years. Curiosity. Real, unrestrained curiosity about these creatures who defied their every expectation. Aboard the Prometheus, Admiral Chen received the first official response from the Carix Empire. It wasn't a surrender, nor was it a declaration of war. It was something far more promising, a request for cultural exchange. "Send word to Earth," she ordered, feeling a profound sense of satisfaction. "Tell them Operation Lighthouse was a success. The real first contact begins now." As the quantum network hummed with increasing activity between human and Carix worlds, Shen reflected on the true power of humanity, not their advanced technology or military might, but their ability to turn enemies into students and students into partners. The galaxy was about to change, not through force, but through the most human quality of all, the desire to share, to learn, and to grow together. Echoes of human resilience. The news spread across the galaxy like a quantum shockwave. The mighty Carix Empire, unchanging for 10,000 years, was transforming. The species that had once been the epitome of cold logic was experiencing a cultural revolution, all because of a race of beings from a seemingly insignificant star system. In the Centauri Concordat, a loose federation of 13 species known for their careful neutrality, the Council of Elders gathered in their orbital sanctuary. The massive structure, carved from a single asteroid, housed representatives from civilizations that had chosen to remain independent from Carix influence. Elder Xyra of the Aetherian Collective, her energy form flickering with concern, addressed the assembly. "The humans have achieved what we long thought impossible. They've cracked the Carix shell not through force, but through understanding." The chamber of contemplation filled with murmurs as holographic feeds showed the latest developments. Carix citizens were experiencing art for the first time in millennia. Their young were being taught to embrace curiosity rather than suppress it. And most shockingly, their technology was evolving in ways that defied their formerly rigid development protocols. On Earth, the United Nations Space Command had transformed into the Terran Diplomatic Corps, with Dr. Elena Santos leading a new initiative called Project Bridge. Her latest assignment brought her to the Concordat's sanctuary, where she would present humanity's case for galactic cooperation. "Distinguished elders," Elena began, her holographic form materializing in the center of the chamber, "I come not to seek alliances or treaties, but to share a vision. The Carix taught us that strength can come from order. We taught them that progress can come from chaos. Together, we're learning that the greatest achievements come from balance." The assembled elders watched in fascination as she projected images of the ongoing transformation. Carix scientists, their scales shimmering with newfound excitement, working alongside human researchers. The first Carix art exhibition in 10 millennia, where crystalline sculptures pulsed with emotions their creators were just beginning to understand. But not all reactions were positive. In the darker regions of space, the Shadowkin Consortium, a collection of species who had rejected both Carix order and Concordat neutrality, saw opportunity in the changing galaxy. Their biomechanical ships began probing both human and Carix space, testing for weaknesses. Admiral Sarah Chen, now commanding the joint human-Carix defense fleet, monitored their movements from the newly constructed Harmony Station. The massive structure, combining Carix crystalline architecture with human organic design principles, served as the headquarters for their combined operations. "They're testing our quantum detection grid," reported Captain Zixvel, formerly of the Carix 9th Fleet, now one of their most innovative tactical officers. His scales shifted through patterns that would have been deemed disturbing just months ago, a sign of his embracing of emotional expression. Chen nodded, studying the tactical display. "The Shadowkin think our alliance has weakened us. They've never understood that true strength comes from diversity, not uniformity." The Shadowkin's first strike came not against military targets, but against a joint cultural exchange center in the Proxima system. Their biomechanical weapons sought to corrupt both human and Carix technology simultaneously. What they hadn't counted on was how that very combination would prove to be their undoing. The defense systems, merged with both human intuition and Carrick's precision, adapted faster than any pure logic or pure instinct system could have. The attack was not just repelled, it was reversed, the biomechanical corruption turning back on its creators. In the Concordat sanctuary, the elders watched these events unfold with growing amazement. Elder Xyra's energy form pulsed with what her species considered laughter. They still don't understand, do they? The humans haven't just changed the Carricks. They've changed the fundamental equations of power in our galaxy. A newer member of the council, representing the silicon-based Lithosians, buzzed with curiosity. Explain. For eons, we believed power came from choosing a path, logic or emotion, order or chaos, strength or wisdom. Xyra explained. The humans showed us that the real power comes from embracing all paths, from learning to dance between extremes. The news of the Shadowkin's failed attack spread quickly, but the response from the Human Carricks Alliance was what truly shocked the galaxy. Instead of retaliation, they extended an invitation, the same offer they had shared during their first encounter, an opportunity to learn, to grow, to evolve. Dr. Santos found herself addressing the Shadowkin leadership, their biomechanical forms writhing with suspicion in the quantum conference. You attacked us because you thought our cooperation was a sign of weakness, she said, her holographic form steady and calm. Let us show you why it's the greatest strength in the universe. The Shadowkin leader, a being of twisted metal and pulsing organic matter, responded with scorn. You offer peace after we attacked you. This proves your weakness. Admiral Chen's hologram appeared alongside Elena's. No, she said firmly. It proves we've moved beyond the binary thinking that has limited this galaxy for too long. Strength isn't measured by how hard you can hit, but by how much you can grow. In the following weeks, delegations from across the galaxy arrived at Harmony Station. Some came seeking alliance, others understanding, and a few even came looking for confrontation. Each found something unexpected. A civilization that had taken the best aspects of two seemingly incompatible ways of life and forged something entirely new. The Concordat elders eventually passed a historic resolution, opening formal relations with the Human Carricks Alliance. Elder Xyra, in her closing speech, summed up what many had come to realize. The humans didn't just survive first contact with one of the galaxy's most powerful empires. They didn't just defend themselves or prove their worth. They showed us all a new way to exist. In doing so, they've given the galaxy something it didn't know it needed, hope for a future that transcends our limitations. The price of arrogance. The Shadowkin Consortium's biomechanical dreadnought, Eternal Night, loomed over the disputed border of the Perseus Arm. Its twisted form, a stark contrast to the crystalline elegance of Carrick's architecture and the sleek designs of human vessels. Inside its corrupted core, Archonvexthor, supreme leader of the Shadowkin, watched the approaching diplomatic vessel with contempt. They still think they can talk their way out of extinction. He communicated through the ship's neural network. His biomechanical form pulsed with dark energy, tendrils of corrupted technology writhing in what passed for amusement among his kind. The diplomatic vessel, a joint human Carricks design named Dawn's Promise, carried an unlikely pair of negotiators. Dr. Elena Santos and former Supreme Overseer Vaxteth had specifically requested this mission, understanding that the galaxy's future might hinge on its outcome. They're scanning us with corrupted quantum sensors, reported Captain Maya Chen, Admiral Chen's daughter and the ship's commanding officer. Should I raise shields? Elena shook her head. No, let them see exactly what we are. Transparency can be the greatest weapon against paranoia. The Shadowkin had spent millennia evolving themselves into hybrid beings of organic tissue and corrupted technology, believing this made them superior to both purely organic and purely technological species. They had watched the Carricks Empire from the shadows, waiting for a sign of weakness. The human intervention had seemed like their perfect opportunity, until it wasn't. Archon Vexthor, Elena's voice carried across the void through quantum channels. We come with an offer that might surprise you. Your offers mean nothing. The Archon's distorted voice crackled back. We have seen your weakness. You had the Carricks at your mercy, and you chose to teach them, to help them. Pathetic. Vaxteth's scales shifted to a new color, one his species had only recently rediscovered. The deep purple of wisdom gained through experience. We once thought as you do, Archon. We believed that emotion was weakness, that the only path to power was through rigid control. The humans showed us how wrong we were. In the vast network of space surrounding the diplomatic meeting, hundreds of quantum sensors monitored the growing Shadowkin fleet. Admiral Sarah Chen, coordinating from Harmony Station, watched the tactical display with practiced calm. The Shadowkin had gathered nearly their entire force, exactly as planned. All vessels in position, reported Captain Zixful. Project Mirror is ready. The Archon's laughter, a sound like tearing metal, echoed through the quantum channels. You think we don't see your fleet gathering? Your pathetic attempts at military positioning. We are beyond your comprehension. We are evolution itself. Elena's response was calm, almost gentle. No, Archon. You're not evolution. You're stagnation. You took two beautiful forms of existence, organic life and technology, and twisted them into a mockery of both. But we're not here to judge. We're here to offer you something you've never considered, a chance to truly evolve. With those words, Project Mirror activated. The quantum network that humanity had carefully built throughout the galaxy pulsed with new energy. Every Shadowkin vessel found itself bathed in a field of pure quantum coherence, a field that did something unprecedented. It showed them themselves, not as they wished to be seen, not as they imagined themselves, but as they truly were. The quantum field, developed through the combined insights of human intuition and Carrick's precision, forced the Shadowkin to experience genuine self-reflection for the first time in their history. The effect was devastating. Across the Shadowkin fleet, beings who had convinced themselves of their superiority suddenly saw the truth of their existence, the pain they had caused, the beauty they had corrupted, the potential they had squandered. Their biomechanical forms, which they had seen as perfect unions, were revealed as prisons of their own making. What is this? The Archon's voice had lost its mechanical certainty, showing organic fear for the first time in centuries. This is clarity, Elena explained softly. This is the gift humanity brings to the galaxy, the courage to see ourselves as we truly are, and the strength to choose to be better. The Shadowkin fleet hung motionless in space as their entire civilization experienced this moment of forced enlightenment. Some ships began to break apart as their crews rejected the corrupted technologies that had sustained them. Others remained intact but silent, their crews wrestling with revelations too profound for immediate action. Aboard the Dawn's Promise, Vaxteth's scales rippled with empathy, another emotion his people were relearning. We offer you what the humans offered us. Not defeat, but transcendence. A chance to find a true balance between organic and technological existence. Admiral Chen watched as, one by one, Shadowkin vessels began transmitting surrender signals. Not out of fear or defeat, but out of a desperate need for help. They had seen themselves clearly for the first time in millennia, and they could never unsee it. Begin rescue operations, she ordered. All medical ships proceed according to planned salvation. Remember, they're not our enemies anymore. They're our patients. The following months saw the greatest humanitarian operation in galactic history. Human doctors worked alongside Carrick's engineers to help the Shadowkin separate themselves from their corrupted technology. New bodies were grown for those who wished to return to organic form. Clean, ethical cybernetics were developed for those who wished to maintain a technological component to their existence. The Archon himself, now calling himself simply Thor, became one of the strongest advocates for this transformation. His new form, a clean fusion of organic tissue and ethical technology, stood as a symbol of what the Shadowkin could become. In the Concordat sanctuary, Elder Kyra watched the proceedings with growing appreciation. The humans didn't just defeat an enemy. She observed to her fellow elders. They cured one. In doing so, they've shown us yet another truth, that sometimes the greatest victory comes not from destroying what we fear, but from healing what we don't understand. The price of arrogance had been high for the Shadowkin, but the reward for humility proved greater. As their civilization began its long journey of reconstruction, they brought with them unique insights into the integration of organic and digital existence, insights that would prove valuable to the entire galaxy, once freed from corruption. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge yet in the galaxy, and had overcome it not through superior firepower or advanced technology, but through their most fundamental quality: the ability to see the potential for good in even their worst enemies, and the determination to bring that potential to light. A new dawn in the stars. 5 years after the Shadowkin transformation, the galactic landscape had changed beyond recognition. The Great Hall of Harmony Station hosted the first Galactic Concordance, a gathering unprecedented in both its scope and purpose. Representatives from over 1,000 species filled the vast chamber, their forms ranging from pure energy to silicon-based crystals to organic beings of all descriptions. Dr. Elena Santos, now serving as Earth's Secretary of Galactic Relations, stood at the central podium. Behind her, a window of transparent quantum crystal revealed Earth floating in the distance, a beautiful blue reminder of humanity's humble origins. A decade ago, she began, her voice carrying to every corner of the chamber through quantum resonance. Humanity was considered too emotional to join galactic society. Today, we gather to celebrate not just our differences, but the strength that comes from embracing them. The chamber's displays showed scenes from across the galaxy. Carrick scientists, their scales shimmering with newly embraced emotions, working alongside human researchers to develop technologies that merged logic and intuition. Reform Shadowkin teaching others about the delicate balance between organic and digital existence. Members of the Centauri Concordat establishing cultural exchange programs with Earth's universities. Admiral Sarah Chen, her uniform now bearing the insignia of the United Galactic Defense Force, watched from her position near the chamber's edge. Beside her stood Captain Zixvel, his scales displaying the complex color patterns that had become common among the new generation of Carricks. "Did you ever imagine it would turn out like this?" he asked, using the informal speech patterns his people had adopted from human influence. Chen smiled, remembering the tense moments of first contact. "Honestly, no. We hoped, but hope is different from expectation. That's something we tried to teach the galaxy. The value of hoping for better while preparing for worse." In the medical wing of Harmony Station, former Archon Thor worked with a team of human and Carrick's doctors, developing new methods of ethical cybernetic enhancement. His own form had become a testament to redemption. Clean lines of advanced technology harmoniously integrated with organic tissue, all powered by quantum processors that amplified consciousness rather than suppressing it. The key was never the technology, he explained to a group of students from various species. It was the intent behind it. We sought to dominate our organic nature. Humans showed us how to complement it instead. The Galactic Concordance wasn't just a celebration. It was the formal establishment of a new form of interstellar governance. Not the rigid hierarchy of the old Carrick's empire, nor the loose association of the Centauri Concordat, but something new. A system that recognized and valued the unique contributions of each species. Elder Kyra, her energy form pulsing with approval, addressed the assembly. "We have entered an age that none of us could have predicted. The humans didn't just join galactic society. They transformed it. They showed us that the universe is not a place of either slash or, but of and." The quantum networks that spanned the galaxy hummed with activity as billions of beings watched the proceedings. On countless worlds, new generations were growing up in a galaxy where emotion and logic were no longer seen as opposing forces, where technology and organic life existed in harmony, where difference was celebrated rather than feared. President Helena Rodriguez, appearing via quantum projection from Earth, spoke to the assembled representatives. When we first looked to the stars, we dreamed of finding others who would understand us. Instead, we found others who needed to learn what we had already discovered. That understanding comes not from similarity, but from embracing difference. In the years that followed, humanity's influence continued to reshape galactic society in unexpected ways. The quantum technology they had pioneered became a standard for communication, but each species adapted it in unique ways. The Carricks developed crystalline quantum processors that could channel both logic and emotion. The reformed Shedoukin created organic quantum interfaces that allowed for deep but ethical integration with technology. But perhaps the most profound change was philosophical. The galaxy had long operated on principles of separation and categorization. Organic versus technological, logical versus emotional, order versus chaos. Humanity had shown them a different way: integration, balance, and the strength that comes from embracing seemingly opposing forces. Dr. Santos concluded the historic gathering with words that would be remembered for generations. We came to the stars carrying not just our technology or our knowledge, but our hearts. We brought with us not just the ability to travel through space, but the courage to journey through understanding. The galaxy laughed at our emotions, then feared our strength, and finally learned from our wisdom. But we too have learned. We've learned that the greatest adventure isn't conquering the stars. It's learning to dance among them with partners we never dreamed we'd have. As the galactic concordance drew to a close, the quantum networks carried a simple message to every corner of known space, transmitted in every language and form of communication known. The universe is not a place to be conquered or controlled. It is a song to be sung together, a dance to be shared, a story to be written by all. And humanity, we're just glad to be part of the chorus. Admiral Chen, watching the proceedings end, felt a sense of completion. Humanity had not just survived its entrance into galactic society. It had helped create a new one, better than anyone had imagined possible. The stars no longer seemed like distant lights to be reached, but like old friends waiting to share new stories. In the great dance of cosmic civilization, humanity had found its step, and in doing so, had taught the galaxy a new rhythm, one of hope, understanding, and the incredible power of embracing all that makes us different and all that makes us one.